Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moments. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Tales of Herding Gods based on novel. So let's start. This is a dragon vein of a true dragon lord. The brother and sister entered the true dragon's nest and were extremely astonished. Qin Mu said, "What a pity that this true dragon lord has been refined into a treasure by someone, otherwise it could have become a true dragon king by absorbing the power of the other dragon veins. Being refined into a pendant is truly a pity." Chua also said it was a pity. The dragon ancestor of the celestial heavens was born from the dragon vein of a true dragon lord. His abilities are extremely powerful and he is one of the big shots in the celestial heavens. The power of his abilities is rare in this world and even High Emperor must be somewhat respectful to him. It wasn't a treasure that Qin Mu could refine, so Qin Mu and Chua didn't think too much about it. The brother and sister helped him clear up the writings of the dragon vein, and Qin Mu was ineffably excited from their work. "Old brother Qin, we can be said to have benefited from you. When you look at it, our Bai family has taken a huge advantage of you. We learned your sword skills and even learned the dragon writings from the true dragon's nest of the true dragon lord. To you, the dragon language won't make you improve by much, but our gains are extraordinary." What he said was the truth. Qin Mu wasn't of the dragon race, so couldn't cultivate the technique of the true dragon lord as fast and as well as them. When Qin Mu invited them into the true dragon's nest to decode the dragon writings, they gained benefits that even surpassed those gained by Qin Mu. Chua was also full of excitement as she thought to herself happily, "If he takes the dragon language of the true dragon's nest as a betrothal gift, my father will definitely be overjoyed and promise me to him. I just wonder if he's already married. However, that's fine as well." Qin Mu and Poa decoded the dragon language in the dragon's nest little by little and taught it to Qin Mu. However, there were still some writings they couldn't understand. If only father was her. His bloodline is even higher, so he definitely could decode all of these dragon writings. Chua's gaze flickered as she smiled sweetly. "Brother Mu, stay in 100 Prosperities City for a few more days until my father returns." Qin Mu nodded. He was already very satisfied with his gains. The siblings had decoded numerous marvels of the dragon writings, to the point that only 10% were left unsolved. The technique of the true dragon lord took a huge step forward and became even stronger. Qin Mu tried executing the true dragon technique, and he felt his cultivation improving rapidly. His foundation was also becoming more and more solid, patching what he was lacking before. This made him exclaim in joy. "Old brother Qin, if I had cultivated the technique in the true dragon's nest, you might not be able to defeat me on the same realm." As the three of them walked out of the true dragon's nest, Qin Mu put it back into the Daotai sack. He smiled and shook his head. "Even if brother cultivated the technique of true dragon lord, you might not be able to defeat me. I'm the overlord body, I rarely have a match on the same realm." Chua stared with her eyes wide open, and Qin Mu's face was also blank. "Overlord body? Old brother Qin, what's overlord body?" Qin Mu sought knowledge humbly. "I've mostly moved around the areas surrounding 100 Prosperities City, only going to the celestial heavens a few times in the past where I heard true god seniors imparting their paths, so I don't know a lot of things. I'm clueless about this overlord body, so old brother Qin must have traveled wide to know this much. May I ask old brother Qin to teach me?" Qin Mu was about to explain when he heard a loud laugh. "Qin Mu, an esteemed guest has come to your Bai family, so why didn't you inform us?" "Qin Mu, I saw you getting beaten. Who told you to be cocky daily? Now you got walloped right in front of the whole city." Qin Mu looked toward the source of the voices and saw numerous young men and women walking over. They were all in high spirits and looked extraordinarily attractive. Qin Mu immediately said, "They are the young experts of my 100 Prosperities City and are here to laugh at me. Old brother Qin, let me introduce them to you." He then did as he said. Once it was finished, he talked about how Qin Mu had founded the 18th sword form and how he was the overlord body. Everyone was extremely astonished. A youth stood up while blazing with fighting spirit and shouted loudly, "Overlord body Qin, you said your overlord body is so powerful that can you suppress your peers and is invincible on the same realm, but I don't believe you. Please enlighten me." Qin Mu rose with a smile. "I was also thinking of exchanging pointers with everyone here." The youth shook and transformed into a human with a bird's head. He soared into the sky while flapping golden wings. Qin Mu rose into the air as well, and the two of them exchanged blows in the sky. The audience watching below were dazzled and erupted in cheers. Just a moment later, the opposing youth's sword skill was broken and he fell down. "Let me meet Overlord Body Qin." A young woman couldn't endure any longer and attacked. She was also of the dragon race, so the path she took was fierce and overbearing. She was proficient in spell divine arts of her kind, able to make divine arts explode with astonishing power between her fingers and palm. Qin Mu executed great educational heavenly devil scripture. With great overarching heavenly stars force, over 300 types of divine arts burst forth like a sky filled with stars, blowing the young woman back down. Superb divine art. Praises came from below, and another young man rushed into midair. After a few rounds of fighting, he was cut down by Qin Mu with a knife. Everyone went forward, but they were all defeated. Bai Chua was really excited and asked softly, "Sister-in-law, what do you think of him?" "Outstanding, simply outstanding." Bai Qingfu's wife revealed a bitter smile and said softly, "I'm starting to worry about you now." Bai Kia was also troubled and slightly worried. "Overlord Body Qin is no doubt the Overlord Body." Bai Qingfu laughed loudly and invited Qin Mu to take a seat once again. He surveyed the surroundings and asked loudly, "Do you guys feel like old brother Qin could fight his way up the celestial heavens and teach those arrogant talents a lesson?" Everyone laughed in unison. "Could." One of the young women smiled and said, "I feel like brother Qin's techniques and divine arts are literally an era ahead. They are truly strange and wonderful, as well as thought-provoking. It is as though countless possibilities could be created from old brother Qin's paths, skills, and divine arts, evolving those of our High Emperor era to their extremes." The other people all nodded and smiled. "We also have this kind of feeling." Bai Qingfu then suggested, "Old brother Qin, after the Battle of Fomalhaut ends, let's go to the celestial heavens together and wreck all of those arrogant fellows. Everyone, do you agree?" "Yes." The laughter of everyone rushed into the sky. Qin Mu also laughed loudly and exchanged pointers on paths, skills, and divine arts. He had no thoughts that he might change history. In the corner of a banquet, Pan Gongso's face was completely ashen. He looked at the dragon Cheline who had eaten his fill and the chest hiding in the darkness. He thought to himself, how is this just changing history? This is clearly stabbing a few holes in it. We are screwed, so screwed. We can't go back anymore. We might even disappear right away. He felt extreme fear. Even the 18th sword form was taught to them by this scoundrel. The sky and the earth are turning upside down. Goddamn Qin brat, I'm going to be sabotaged to death by you. In the banquet, everyone was talking and laughing, even becoming dead drunk, stumbling left and right. Bai Chua collected her courage and pulled Qin Mu to dance. His face was red, and he couldn't break free of her hold, so he could only dance with her, making everyone laugh loudly. At that moment, booming sounds came from afar as though the heaven was falling. Among the loud noise, darkness and air currents surged forward and bombarded 100 Prosperity's city, causing it to shake violently. Everyone at the banquet was confused by the events. The impact from something was so fierce that buildings collapsed and even the roof of the palace behind them was lifted off and sent flying. What flew away with the roof was also the entire banquet, plates, bowls, wine, and jade tables. Everything swept into midair by the terrifying air current. Whoosh! A huge tree broke off at the waist and flew into the sky while spinning. A few people outside the manor were swept off their feet by the gale and flailed their limbs. They hugged the tree, and in the next moment, they vanished after being flung away by another even more terrifying pulse of energy. The cultivation of Qin Mu and the rest was not simple, so they could stabilize themselves. Bai Qingfu raised his hand, and dragon beads rose into the air. He shouted fiercely, "Fix!" In the sky above Bai Manor, the items and people that were swept up got fixed in place. However, the houses and trees outside the manor were also uprooted and flying all over the place, so Bai Qingfu was unable to endure the pressure. His face flushed and he stomped his feet, and true dragon primordial spirit appeared behind him, which made the dragon beads shine brighter. However, he still couldn't handle the pressure. Qingfu, a woman carrying child, led numerous experts of Bai Manor over. Each of them executed a dragon bead, and Bai Qingfu instantly felt the pressure on him lessen. "Mother, uncles, aunts, and even great-uncle, why are you all here?" he asked in a hurry. "I've received news that Fomalhaut has been broken through," the woman said. "The vanguard of the extraterritorial devils attacked, and 100 Prosperity's city cannot be guarded any longer, so quickly retreat out of the city and go to the celestial heavens. We, the older generation, will hold them off here. Follow the people in the city, and we will hurry over right after." The other young men and young women were stunned. "Fomalhaut has been broken through? What should we do? Let us quickly return to our manors and inform our lords." "No need for that," the woman shouted at the flustered people to keep them under control. She stuffed the little boy into Bai Chua's arms and took out another dragon bead for her while shouting sternly, "Your elders have already been informed, so there's no need for you guys to waste time on that. Leave the city immediately and go to the celestial heavens. There's no need to pack anything, go immediately. The dragon god bead in Chua's hands can assist you guys in repelling the darkness." Bai Qingfu understood the severity of the matter and immediately looked at Qin Mu. "Old brother Qin, follow us too." Qin Mu's heart stirred slightly, and the chest stood up. Pan Gongso immediately jumped onto it. The dragon Qilin was full of energy, and he jumped onto the chest as well. They sprinted straight to the back door. When they reached there, they heard a quaking boom as a god that was guarding the southern gates got blown high into the air in their direction. After he was blasted away, a bull-headed giant that had chains coiled around his body appeared outside the city. His huge body was even taller than the city towers. He pulled along the chains with a black iron ball the size of a mountain at their end. He sent it toward the fallen god. Qin Mu's blood ran cold. If the black iron ball came for that god, it would definitely land near them, so how would they survive? At that moment, melodious roars of dragons came from Bai Manor as the woman from before and the experts of Bai Manor showed their true forms. They transformed into huge dragons that soared into the air, welcoming the iron ball. At the same time, the other experts in 100 Prosperity's city also rushed out to attack one after another. All of them hurried to the southern city gate. Tall and sturdy half-beast and half-human giants were bombarding the city walls, which fell with loud rumbles. Countless extraterritorial devils came flooding into the city and drowned building after building until charging into the resistance force. "Quickly go!" Qin Mu, Bai Qingfu, and the rest rushed to the northern city gate, which was already crowded with people fleeing for their lives. They created an impenetrable crowd. People were stepping on each other, with few making any headway. On the city tower, the god that was guarding the city transformed his magic power into a huge hand, grabbing people trying to squeeze through to send them out. While doing that, he shouted out loudly, "Stand in the light outside the city, do not walk out of the light." Qin Mu and the rest flew out of the city and saw quite a number of people rush into the darkness while shouting among themselves. All of them turned into skeletons, their flesh gone. The god had shifted tens of thousands of people, yet there were still countless people flooding over to the northern city gates, wailing incessantly. In the meantime, the army of the extraterritorial devils had already slaughtered their way over. That god gritted his teeth and flew out of the city. "All gather around me. I'll bring you to the celestial heavens. Follow me. The strong shall stay at the back to fight off the extraterritorial devils." As for the people who were still rushing through the city, he couldn't take them into consideration anymore. He could only protect those already out. Qin Mu and the rest landed on the ground. Bai Qingfu immediately led everyone after the god into the darkness, but Pan Gongso stopped them. He shouted angrily, "Everyone, come back. If you want to live, don't follow that god." Bai Qingfu was stunned and looked at this person that had no legs. While carrying a child in one hand, Bai Chua raised the dragon bead as light with the other. She asked in puzzlement, why shouldn't we follow him? The child began to cry, and her sister-in-law took it to console. It was Bai Qingfu's son, and he had still yet to wean. Qin Mu's expression was solemn. That god is protecting tens of thousands of people, so he has a big target written on his back and will definitely be attacked. Everyone, this guy is right. Grandmaster is the most outstanding person I know in terms of escaping for his life. His escaping abilities are unmatched in this world. Grandmaster, you have the most experience, so tell us where to go. Which way is the celestial heavens? Pan Gongso asked in a hurry. Bai Qingfu raised his hand and pointed to the west of Fomalhaut. Pan Gongso then immediately said, we'll go east. Quickly. The god had already brought the people far into the darkness. Because there was light around Qin Mu and the rest, 100 people had also gathered around them, and there were still more being attracted by the light. Go quickly, kill all those that will lag behind. Pan Gongso said ruthlessly. How can we kill our own people? Everyone was furious. Bai Chua also stopped and prepared to bring more people. Cold sweat rolled down Pan Gongso's forehead as he shouted, does everyone wish to die here? Do you still want to live? If you're soft-hearted, all of you can forget about escaping alive. The extraterritorial devils rushed out of the northern city gates and toward the escapees, slaughtering every single one of them. Bai Qingfu gritted his teeth and said, no need to wait for others, let's go. They rushed into the darkness with the chest giving off a faint glow. This should have astonished the others, but no one had the time to inquire about it. Behind them, the extraterritorial devils were like sharks that had smelt the scent of blood. They pursued after them, so Bai Qingfu and the rest had to cover their retreat, fighting and falling back at the same time. Our speed is too slow while bringing along these burdens. Pan Gongso gritted his teeth and looked fiercely at the people of 100 Prosperity's city around them. An evil grin came onto his face. It's also a waste for these scums to live, so why don't we just kill them all? Only then can we have the possibility of escaping. Cult Master Qin, you also agree with me, right? Qin Mu looked at Bai Chua and said solemnly, Chua, give your dragon god bead to them. I can bring you guys out with the help of my chest if you want a chance to survive, otherwise, we are really going to be dragged down by these people. Bai Chua shook her head. How can I abandon everyone just for my own life? We don't have such people in Bai family. Brother Mu, High Emperor Celestial Heavens was founded for the people, for the gods to be useful to the people. High Emperor has declared that human lives are greater than heaven. Even though her voice was soft, it could rouse even the apathetic. If we can't protect the people, what are gods for? High Emperor said that in front of human lives, all gods have to step aside. Qin Mu's heart trembled violently. Human lives are greater than heaven. Pan Gongso laughed angrily. Every man for himself, or heaven and earth will combine to destroy you. Human lives are greater than heaven? In my eyes, if High Emperor was faced with such a situation, he would also escape for his life first. Bai Chua shook her head. High Emperor definitely wouldn't do that. More extraterritorial devils came from behind, and Qin Mu also moved to the back of the group to deal with those devils while covering the group's retreat east. At that moment, he finally saw those extraterritorial devils clearly, but they were humans just like them. They weren't different in any way, and he couldn't help feeling bewildered. They are humans as well. Both parties didn't hesitate at all, using their strongest fatal moves the moment they met. They fought each other in a desperate struggle. Qin Mu's vital chi burst forth, and he executed his sword pellet to attack the extraterritorial devils. Flying swords flew out and changed unpredictably into all kinds of sword forms, killing the enemies one by one. Kill these rebels, one of the extraterritorial devils shouted out loudly. Accomplish our goals and return back to the celestial heavens as soon as possible. The battle was bloody. Bai Qingfu and the rest killed non-stop, but there were more and more extraterritorial devils flooding over. Everyone gained injuries. Suddenly, someone was pushed into the darkness and got swallowed by the monsters there, turning into a white skeleton. Qin Mu felt a pang of sorrow at that moment. That person was the girl with which he had exchanged blows in Bai Manor. They fought and retreated at the same time. When the final extraterritorial devil was slain, the surroundings became quiet. Only the whispers of the monsters in the darkness remained. Qin Mu treated everyone, and Bai Qingfu grinned. Old brother Qin also knows about the art of healing? You're truly talented. His left arm had been cut off, yet he still could smile. This was really admirable. There's no need to treat me, the youth who had challenged Qin Mu said. There was a huge hole in his chest. His breath was weak as he raised his head to smile. I'm unsavable, I can feel my soul shattering. I was greedy and wanted to kill my opponent, but only received a strike from him. Don't bring my corpse along, just leave it here. I don't want to become a burden to you guys. Qin Mu looked him over, but before he could finish his examination, that youth had already taken his last breath. Qin Mu was stunned. He rose to treat other people. The group continued forward through the extremely long night. The sounds of fighting came from the darkness around them, which meant that other groups who had escaped were being attacked. They also faced the pursuers, chasing after them in the darkness like wolves and sometimes catching up. There were fewer and fewer people around them, giving Pan Gongso no choice but to fight alongside everyone. Even the dragon Qilin had joined the battle. Qin Mu bandaged Bai Qingfu's severed arm while the youth cradled his son with his right hand, coaxing him to sleep. He handed his son to his wife and said softly, "There's a relay station right with a worshipping god who will protect you guys. Old brother Qin, can you lend me this chest?" Fierce shouting came from behind them, which belonged to yet another group of pursuers that were almost upon them. "Let me go with you." "No need." Bai Qingfu grinned, then his expression softened. "You are only on Six Directions realm and I'm on Celestial Being realm. I can return, but you can't. Just stay here and wait for me. Take good care of my son." He turned and left with the chest. Qin Mu turned around to advance with the group. Bai Chua and her sister-in-law watched as Bai Qingfu vanished into the darkness with the chest. Not long later, the chest caught back up to them, its exterior covered in bloodstains. The wife of Bai Qingfu coaxed the child that had woken up back to sleep. "Old brother Qin, not many of those who can fight are left." Bai Qingfu's wife handed the child to Bai Chua and smoothed out her hair that was hanging down. She smiled. "People are still required to block the pursuers, so lend me your chest. I might not be able to return it to you though. Brother Bai's wife, let us follow you." A few of the young men and young women with missing arms and legs stood up. Qin Mu nodded and lent the chest to them. Bai Chua opened her mouth, but she didn't say anything. The group continued to head forward. Not long later, the chest caught up to them once more, and fierce shouting came from the back again. Qin Mu smiled and got onto the chest. "Fatty dragon, come, it's our turn. Grandmaster, go with them. You mother ***. Pan Gongso propped himself up before walking to the chest while cursing. "I came here with you, so if you die, how am I supposed to get back? I have never done any good deed before, so treat it as an exception this time. You mother ***. No." Bai Chua looked at them and burst into tears. Bai Chua raised the dragon god bead up high while carrying Bai Qingfu's child and turned around to bring the crowd into the darkness. Dragon god bead gave off tranquil light that repelled the darkness. They had to hurry to the relay station in front and seek the protection from the god there. Beside the chest, the dragon Qilin let out low growls to invigorate himself. Qin Mu threw the huge cauldron back to Pan Gongso. When the latter saw one of the legs missing, he shook his head and said, "The cauldron is spoiled, its power is weakened, so it probably can't protect us. Luckily I still have other treasures." He stuffed the huge cauldron back into his Daotai sack and took out a huge calabash. He tried its straps around himself with a chuckle. "Cult Master Qin, this is the spirit weapon of my first lifetime. It's called Bloodshed Calabash, and it's the treasure that brought me to fame. It's been a very long time since I've used it. I had always thought to break through and merge what I had learned over the 10,000 years together to refine my bloodshed calabash. However, I could never merge so many techniques together. He carried the calabash on his back since it was about 3 feet tall. However, he had no legs, so the whole image was a little weird. Grandmaster, I never expected you to also be someone of ambition. Qin Mu took out a knife sheath from his Dao Tai sack and secured it on his back. He then took out 2 pig slaughtering knives and put them inside. What a pity you changed after seeing yourself unable to become a god and walked down the wrong road. Pan Gong So looked at his Dao Tai sack and sneered. Do you think that you wouldn't change? That's my Dao Tai sack. I picked it up from Roland's Golden Palace. Qin Mu took out a huge iron hammer and swung it gently. The huge iron hammer hummed, and its head continuously broke up to expand outward. It did so until it was 8 feet long, with the handle as the center of the circle. When Qin Mu stopped using his magic power, the huge iron hammer shrunk back to its original size. Qin Mu slotted the hammer into a leather buckle on the knife pouch, securing it there. He then took out a bamboo cane and swung it gently as well, creating a series of afterimages. He secured it on his back as well. Pan Gong So was startled. He then saw him take out brush, ink, and papers, which he stuffed into his sleeves, and even secure a few scrolls to the knife pouch as well. Pan Gong So couldn't help bursting into laughter. Great Cult Master Qin, are you going to perform a play? Your back cannot even be seen. Qin Mu took out his poison pouch and sword pellet. It broke up into 8,000 swords, and he took out bottles of various sizes from the pouch. He applied poison to the swords one by one while saying, "There's no harm in preparing. When I first walked out of Great Ruins, this was how I dressed. Even though it looks crude, it's practical. When I gained status, I stopped looking this crude. However, since this is a life and death struggle, it's naturally best to be as basic as possible." Upon hearing his words, Pan Gong So took out 7 flags from his Dao Tai sack and inserted them into the ground behind him. He then took out a bronze mirror with a strap which he wrapped around the left arm. It looked like a shield. He then took out a set of flying daggers and hung them on the inside of his shirt on both sides. Qin Mu was stunned. Pan Gong So then took out a few sword cases and setting them beside his legs. There was also the most common weapon used on the prairie, knife pellets. However, Pan Gong So's knife pellets were extraordinary. Their quality far surpassed what the strong practitioners on the prairie used. He also took out a Taiji plate and a Buddha shrine with a small Buddha. He then took out a thick pillar with glowing rune markings and erected it beside himself. "Grandmaster, your wealth is still truly astonishing," Qin Mu praised. "Imperial Preceptor and I looted your golden palace so many times, yet you still have so many precious treasures." Pan Gong So sneered and said, "Once you've lived for 10,000 years, the things you'll accumulate will be even more than what I have." "They are here, eyes awaken." His eyes blazed brightly, and he executed his heavenly eyes of Buddhism. Next, among the Buddha rays, the Tao eyes of Tao sect actually formed and transformed into the symbol of yin and yang. Pan Gong So looked into the darkness and saw flickering silhouettes. "Awaken!" Qin Mu gave a low shout and executed 9 heavens eyes awakening skill. Starlight appeared in his pupils, and the sun lit up in the Milky Way. Then, layers of formation took shape. Blind had merged his 9 heavens eyes awakening skill with number 1 divine eyes of founding emperor era, those of God Xi Qing, so their power was even great, and the divine arts were even more powerful. However, this kind of divine eyes exhausted much more magic power, so Qin Mu could only barely open bright heaven's eyes, with a total of 5 heavens. Because of that, he still mainly used Cinnabar heaven's eyes. The darkness in front of them was too dense, however, and Cinnabar heaven's eyes couldn't see far, so he executed bright heaven's eyes. The dragon Chilean opened his eyes wide to look around, but he couldn't see anything. "Cult Master, what do you see?" Pan Gong So couldn't see too far either. All that was within his vision was a dozen silhouettes walking through the darkness. "Cult Master, there are over a dozen of them, right?" Qin Mu looked straight at the darkness and nodded with a smile. "There's only over a dozen of divine arts practitioners, don't worry." Pan Gong So let out a sigh of relief and laughed loudly. I really thought I would die like Bai Qingfu and his wife, like a bunch of scum. I'm not that noble. Seems like following Cult Master Qin is a lucky sign. I won't die now. The dragon Qilin also burst into laughter. Cult Master always turns misfortune into a blessing. Xing'an's chest also started opening and closing its cover, laughing in its own way. Qin Mu also smiled and stretched his hand out to point. The chest split apart and fell to the ground. Xing'an's chest used materials like the skins and bones of Dao Tai. The bones were used as the structure for the chest and the skins were wrapped around them. Now that the chest was spread open, the surroundings with a radius of 300 yards had become a safe space. Standing in it, they had the divine light of the chest protecting them and didn't need to worry about the darkness. Pan Gong So placed all his treasures properly while the dragon Qilin looked at the frames of the chest in fear. All kinds of body parts hung on the frames, and when Qin Mu wasn't looking, Pan Gong So sneakily hung his poisoned leg before grabbing 2 good ones which he stuffed into his Dao Tai sack. Qin Mu pretended not to see anything and just looked ahead. With his bright heaven's eyes, he saw an army of hundreds of extraterritorial devils behind the dozen silhouettes. They stood quietly there with a tall silhouette riding a large, sturdy strange beast in the lead. He was looking at the divine arts practitioners sent forward to scout. Those divine arts practitioners were only to test their abilities. Qin Mu kept what he had seen to himself and took in a deep breath. His sword pellet slid out of his sleeves and rolled silently to the border of the chest. There, it dug into the dirt and went underground. Fine flying swords spread out within a radius of 300 yards. Now! Qin Mu shouted out, and the 2 pig-slaughtering knives came out of their sheath as he grabbed them. At the same time, over a dozen divine arts practitioners rushed over, and the dragon Qilin opened his mouth to roar. Blazing true fire transformed into a flaming pillar which blasted forward. When it exploded, the silhouettes avoided and went to attack the dragon Qilin. He moved his head, and the flaming pillar swept in all directions. One of the men pressed his hands down, and the ground was supposed to rise up. However, under the chest's suppression, it couldn't be lifted at all. Another person used knife lights with incredibly great knife skills. They swirled frantically around the flaming pillar and sliced it apart. Qin Mu then grabbed his knives and rushed to that person. The divine arts practitioner was also strong, so he knew life and death was only an instant away when a battle technique practitioner closed in on him. He could only see the other person's knife skills and footwork. The 2 of them moved and swirled rapidly like spinning tops. In the sudden rise and fall of the knife lights, the outcome was decided. Wonderful knife skills. The person's head flew up and landed in the darkness mid-praise. While his corpse collapsed, Qin Mu got struck by the palm of another divine arts practitioner's on his chest. However, his body coiled like a flood dragon, and his vital qi transformed into 1-2 to coil around the opponent's arm. 2 knives then slashed at an unbelievable speed, throwing out countless knife lights to cut down the enemy. Truly wonderful knife skills, the person praised as darkness swamped his eyes. He could no longer see Qin Mu's knives. Thump! His head landed on the ground and tumbled 2 rounds. His eyes were still wide open as his consciousness gradually vanished. To be able to die under this kind of knife skills. Pan Gong So's knife pellets floated into the air, and he attacked at the same time as Qin Mu. His knife pellets crisscrossed, and countless knife lights moved close to the ground while slashing out. At the same time, whooshing sounds came from his bloodshed calabash as a bloody waterfall soared into the sky, sweeping up a divine arts practitioner that was avoiding his leg-severing knife lights. There were all kinds of bugs in the waterfall which instantly ate him cleanly. Sounds of collision rang out as another divine arts practitioners moved while stepping on the knives and closed in on Pan Gong So. With a raise of his hand, divine lightning burst forth. Pan Gong So went against the lightning and swept his sleeves up. Countless flying daggers poured out in a torrent, stabbing that person's face until it was full of blades. The dragon Qilin roared angrily and revealed his 120 yards true form, retaliating by smacking his opponents and biting them to death. After a moment, Qin Mu cut down the last enemy and kicked his corpse out. He spat a mouthful of blood and phlegm. The cultivation of those divine arts practitioners had not been that high. They were mostly on 6 directions and 7 stars realm. There was also one expert of celestial being realm that was wrapped by the dragon Qin. The primordial spirit of that person was strong, and he almost raised the dragon Qin to throw him into the darkness. Only with Qin Mu and Pan Gongso working together with him did they manage to kill him in the 300-yard space. Pan Gongso had been hit by a few divine arts and his face was dirty. He might as well not hide it from Qin Mu and attach the 2 divine legs to his body. Qin Mu turned a blind eye to it and said with a laugh, "Grandmaster, do it faster, the opponent won't give us a chance." The opponent? Pan Gongso laughed. Didn't we already kill all of them? He raised his head to look into the darkness and couldn't help becoming stunned when he saw black silhouettes rushing over through the darkness. He hurriedly turned in preparation to run, but darkness was behind them, so he didn't move. No way out. Pan Gongso turned his head back and cried out loudly, "Cult Master Qin, there's no way out. I was screwed by you." Qin Mu went to stand in the center of the space and sheathed his 2 knives. With a thump, a Sun Jedi landed beside him and he shouted, "Cross the border and you'll die." Boasting shamelessly. A divine arts practitioner of the extraterritorial devils rushed over, and a sword light suddenly flew out from underground. It passed close to his chest before piercing his head. The divine arts practitioner rushed a dozen more steps before collapsing in front of Qin Mu. He smiled and repeated the same words to the hundreds of extraterritorial devils outside. "Cross the border and you'll die? I'll kill you." A giant wielding a huge shield in his hands leaped up and threw the shield under his feet to block the sword lights that were surging up at him. At the same time, he roared angrily and his body transformed into the form of a tortoise-backed god that had a huge snake coiled around him. He landed in the space within the chest and threw a punch. The flying serpent hissed and coiled around his fist. Sheng, sheng. 2 knife lights crisscrossed horizontally and vertically, and the giant split into 4 pieces. Qin Mu wiped away the blood on the knives and grinned. "Cross the border and you'll die? 2 of you and a pig taking up 300 yards of space and you want to block my army?" A strange beast walked over. On it, the leader of the extraterritorial devil group took off his mask to look down at Qin Mu. He sneered and said, "Seeing how your cultivation isn't weak and you have the courage, I won't let you die with an intact corpse. All soldiers listen up, trample over them." The extraterritorial devils came flooding over and drowned out the 300 yards of space. 8,000 swords broke through the air and transformed into the first form of sword picture, sword-treading mountains and rivers. They sent everyone in the space of 300 yards into the sword picture. The leader laughed coldly, and his primordial spirit rose into the air. His magic power burst forth and blew away all the flying swords, breaking sword-treading mountains and rivers. Pan Gongso was pale white as he looked at this existence that could easily break sword picture. His heart was in despair as he muttered, "Even a general of life and death realm is here, so there's no way out. I can't run anymore. There's a way." Qin Mu shouted out, and a bright light burst forth, stabbing into the eyes of the general. The instant he put sword picture in place, the light of Sun Jedi penetrated the heart of his brows and came out the other end. The other divine arts practitioners rushed toward Qin Mu and drowned him out. Sun Jedi was blown away by a few divine arts and rolled aside. Hope was renewed in Pan Gongso's heart, and he welcomed the hundreds of people with a fierce face. "Die? Die!" the dragon Qin roared and his scales erupted, flying out from his body. Bang, bang, bang. The 300 yards of space quickly folded and closed up. Several hundred extraterritorial devils were packed into the box along with Pan Gongso, Qin Mu, and the dragon Qin. In the darkness, the chest gave off a faint glow while inside it was incomparably black darkness. There was no light at all. Loud strikes rang out inside the chest as something kept on hitting each other. Terrifying sounds of battle came from the chest. Knives were slicing flesh and divine arts exploding. Fresh blood kept leaking out from the chest. After a long while, the chest finally became peaceful again. Bang! A bloody hand pushed open the chest, and a head popped out. Its owner wanted to climb out. He was stabbed by a bamboo cane the next moment. The bamboo cane pierced out from the heart of his brows before getting pulled back. The chest spat the corpse out. The piece returned once again. After a moment, dull sounds rang out. The chest opened up again and threw more corpses out. When fighting in a black world, whoever is blind will win. In the chest, Qin Mu stood with his bamboo cane in complete darkness. My master was just that, a blind man. This video will end here.